to Waikiki. We are here at the Alohilani Resort.
I have not heard much about it, but you have some history here, I guess.
So apparently, the front desk told me that 2 years ago this hotel got changed over to the Alohilani Resort, but before that it was actually called the Pacific Beach Hotel. My prom was held here, and then about that same year I think I stayed here again before I ran the Honolulu Marathon. So I grew up here in Hawaii and I was here until I was 18 years old, but I've been in Seattle for about 10 years. So this is an interesting experience coming and staying here again as an adult after being away for so long. Welcome to our hotel room. We are here on the 17th floor on the ocean side or the beach side tower of the Alohilani Resort. And it's pretty straightforward. It's one large room. We have a big king-size bed, really nice, natural wooden beach house sort of tones to it. And over here on the left, we have a nice little nook, which is right next to our gorgeous view. The view is definitely the best part of the room, but I think we'll save that for the very end. And a really nice Samsung Smart TV. And the refrigerator is nicely hidden here. And I really like this trend among hotel rooms of just trying to hide some of those devices, and sometimes you might have to poke around to find them, but I like that, as a nice design, it just really flows, makes the room look nice and clean. For coffee, you have a Keurig machine here, and it looks like the Alohilani actually has their own blend of coffee. So you can blend your coffee first thing in the morning or make your tea in the Keurig. And they're nice enough to provide these foldable water bottles, which are really great for if you want to go hiking or carry water with you, but you don't want to bring a big bulky bottle. And at the bottom of the floor by the elevators, there's actually a water bottle refill station, which is really convenient, really sustainable. I really like that. And really the final part of the room is back here. We have a closet, which we're not going to show you because that's where we had to store all of our luggage. And then here we have the bathroom. There's a walk-in shower, single sink, and a toilet with a nice bidet. So that's a really nice touch to the bathroom, by the way. I really like that. The last thing is the view. So we'll take a step outside. So really nice spacious balcony, 2 chairs, a table, and expansive view of the ocean and all the beach below you. And in fact, you can see we're just a block away from the beach. We can go outside to the first floor, walk right across the street, and we are down in a protective cove where we can swim, or you can go over one beach and there's some waves out there. Lots of surfers, people learn to surf out here. It's a great place to take surfing lessons. I actually learned to surf out here when I was 14 years old. My high school had a learn to surf club, so they brought us down here and we went surfing. So great place to do some outdoor activities. And then over here on the left, you can't quite see it from here, but there's Diamond Head. That's further down that way. It's about a mile away. So if you want to do that hike, it's over here. There's also the Honolulu Zoo and the aquarium. And then further down to the right, you get more hotels, and you eventually end up at Ala Moana Shopping Center. Olina, but it does have a protective barrier here. So if you're either just wanting to chill out, or you're not comfortable swimming, or you have kids, this is a perfect place to come and swim. Or if you want a bit of a challenge, just go over that rock wall over there and more of the waves come in. But even so, it's not intense at all. It's really friendly for people just wanting to chill. We are right there. water infinity pool at the Alohilani Resort. It's actually up on the 5th floor, and it's between the two towers, which is kind of nice because yeah, it's just a really nice view, and you feel a little bit tucked away from all the action, but you still get a view of the beach, and there's a little peak of Diamond Head.
And this place is popular. It gets very busy here.
Yes.
So it's very enjoyable. At night they do a light show here.
Yeah, they do.
And so all day long, especially in the afternoon when it gets shady and there are people lounging, there are nice cabanas here.
Yeah, the pool's actually open from 8 a.m. to midnight. So coming either early in the morning or later at night is obviously the most peaceful time because it is a shared adult and kids pool, which can get a little crazy in the middle of the day. But right now, at about 9 a.m., it's like perfect. It's just the right amount of people here.
Overall, great stay at this hotel, the perfect location. And it's worth talking a bit about the location because this is Waikiki. It's one of the most classic resorts in the tropics for Americans. So what do you think about it? And you're from here, so you have an interesting perspective.
Yeah, as someone who grew up here, you know, this is a place where my friends and I in high school, we'd come here and kind of just make fun of people. Like, oh, the tourists, it's such a touristy area. Because again, it's not really a place that locals come to hang out at, even though, you know, tourism is our biggest industry. So it brings in a lot of the money, it's a lot of the jobs, but still, people kind of, people that live here, I guess, have like this idea of, oh, it's touristy, we only, but they still actually come here for like maybe long vacations or like long weekends because there's not much further you can go for a long weekend. But still, like touristy always has kind of a negative connotation.
It can, so for me it's interesting because it was actually the first main trip I took on my own once I got my first good job, and I came here immediately, and I don't know why exactly I chose here because I always heard very good things about Hawaii, and then I looked up very good deal back then. It was at the recession, so I got $80 to stay waterfront in Waikiki. I was like, no way I say no to that. So that was
amazing.
Yeah, it was one of my first travel experiences after college, and I thought it was great. I honestly did not dislike a single thing about it, and in fact when I understand why people dislike very overbuilt tourist areas, but I also like the crowds. I like the fact that everyone's here to enjoy themselves.
Yeah, you know, it is a little bit more expensive perhaps, and that can turn off some people because people can be like, oh, let me go to Southeast Asia, it's a lot cheaper. But, you know, your flight is further, it's a more foreign country, which, you know, has its pros and cons, but sometimes you just want a good old classic, like almost touristy vacation because it's just more comfortable.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you're on vacation, that's part of why you're on vacation, right? Like sometimes you want a full-on adventure where you need a vacation from your vacation, but other times you just want a vacation where you can fully like just kick back and relax. And this is the kind of place where you can do that.
And when you do vacation, you may want adventure, which we normally do. You know, normally we do rugged adventure style tourism, but there are very many people who actually just want the beach and the nice lodging and the good food and a safe environment. And here has all that. And in addition, it has a lot for you. So like when you go down the strip, there are thousands of people, and they all seem to be engaged in something fun for them.
Right, and you know the other way that you can mix it up is, you know, there are other islands. So I always say for first timers, you know, spend a week or a few days here in Waikiki, kind of get this kind of vibe, and then go over to the Big Island because the Big Island is rugged, it's less populated, it gives you a chance to really adventure. So that's exactly what we did actually. Was we split our time between Oahu and the Big Island, and I think it was a really great overall trip.
Yeah, and this is the second time we did that, and it's actually perfect.
It's awesome.
It's perfect.
It's one of our favorite vacations.
Yeah, you get the Oahu urban vibe with all the food options and going out options and shopping options. Then you go on the Big Island and do all the adventure that you need to be prepared for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a great balance.
Yeah, so Hawaii has a bit for everybody, and Waikiki is definitely a centerpiece of all that.
Yes. If you haven't been here, please come. Waikiki is just amazing, and you definitely should see it at least once in your lifetime, but hopefully multiple times.
Yeah, and here's where the birthplace of surfing is, and many people learn here to surf.
Yes, I learned here to surf.
Yeah, and many others come just for that.
Yeah.
All right, let's enjoy the pool.
Aloha and mahalo for listening and watching, and we will see you in the next video.
Yeah. There. Your code is in a cave.
This is our first check-in from Oahu. We are here in Hawaii, and this is our first, one of our first touristy stops here. We are at Punchbowl National Cemetery.
Right, but it actually is not so much of a tourist trip for us because this is where you're from.
Yeah, so my maternal grandmother and grandfather are both buried here, so we came and paid our respects to them. And right next to their gravesite actually is a path which leads up. And you know, even if you don't have family buried here, it's still a really nice place to come and visit because it gives you a really spectacular view of the mountain range behind us. And further up the path, there is a spectacular view of Waikiki and downtown Honolulu. So this is the view that you can see from the Punchbowl Cemetery. Right behind us is Diamond Head and all of downtown Honolulu and Waikiki. Hawaii is a macadamia nut, and in case you've never seen one in the wild, this is what it actually looks like when it's fresh off of the tree. And I actually had a church, we had a big macadamia nut tree in the courtyard, and during the breaks we'd actually go out and pick these up and actually get to the center of them. Let's see if I can still remember how to do this. Right there, that's the opening. There we go, a couple in here. There's two. Okay, so you peel that off and then you get this part here. And this is where it's really, really tough. You can actually show. So this is what it looks like, you know, after you kind of clean it off a bit. And then you get through this, it's like rock hard. So you really have to like smash it against a rock or something. Like that. Yeah, so when you finally do get it open, it's really soft. I'm not going to eat it right now, but totally a macadamia nut.
World War II memorial in the Punchbowl in Honolulu. It's a very cool monument. The solemn pride that must be yours to have laid so costly a sacrifice upon the altar of freedom. Very American. If you follow the American national ethos, they fought Nazism and fascism and the Japanese imperial aggression and then the Cold War because they wanted a free world, not a tyrannical one. There's a representation here of the victory of the Pacific War against Japan. You can see a lot of, basically all of Asia's coast was covered by the American forces and they won everywhere. Here we have the Philippines. All the big battles are commemorated here. Iwo Jima, Okinawa. This is about the Korean War a bit later, 1950. Here later, when China entered Korea, and on the side of North Korea, America fought China in Korea. Some people may not know that fact. This is the war in Europe against Germany. Germany had gobbled almost all of Europe at that point.
Battalion, the 442. They were part of the battalion of Japanese Americans that were enlisted to fight against in Japan during World War II. So it was a pretty big deal to be Japanese American and fighting against your home country in defense of America. But that is what my grandfather did.
More islands here. They're used for bases by the Japanese. This is New Guinea and the Solomon Islands. A lot of fighting there. And if you have been to this part of the world, near Indonesia and New Guinea, it's a brutal terrain. This was not easy. It's extremely hot and humid and very many diseases and insects and snakes and altogether hazardous environment, very difficult war. Here's a broad map. You can see where the Americans took off from, where we live up in Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, basically all of the West Coast, out into Alaska, over to Kamchatka in Russia, and south into Japan. Meanwhile, they came through Hawaii and went into Guam and other islands, down into Indonesia and New Guinea, and into Australia, all over Asia, over here. This is our second time together here.
No, there is some debate. I do not remember ever coming here with you. In fact, the last time I remember coming here was like in the 90s. And I only remember that through pictures that my mom took of me here.
So we're going to have to dig up the pictures if they exist and see whether it's second or first time we're here.
Okay, today we are here at the Byodo-In Temple on the windward side of Oahu.
And this is a Japanese temple that was made in Japan, shipped in parts, and then assembled here without any nails.
It's a Buddhist temple, and it is a replica of the temple that is located in Uji, Japan.
Right, so it is also, you know, it's 100% Japanese, but it's in an amazing setting here in Oahu where the mountains are very dramatically rising right behind it, and it's a jungle as well, so it's something pretty special to see.
Yeah, it's a pretty wet, kind of lush area. It's very different from the other side of Oahu, which is where we've been spending the most time, and very different even from Waikiki. So this is it's also really close to where they filmed the movie Jurassic Park, over by Kualoa Ranch, so this is a really nice area to visit.
Yeah, and dramatic ascent over here too. The drive up to here is quite amazing. Koi fish are in the pond in large numbers.
Are you gonna ring the gong?
You want me to?
One of us has to.
I'll do it. I wanna bring it real strong.
Okay. Alright, no pressure, man.
I don't know the proper technique, I'm sure there is one.
I don't either. I'm not a Buddhist, I don't know.
It's pretty good one.
It's pretty good.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shima Taco Factory.
Alright, we're here at the Polynesian Culture Center on the windward side of Oahu, and we're going to spend the full day here doing the full deal, including the luau and the show at night.
Both of us have been here, but it's been 10 years in my case and 20 in your case, and we both remember it very fondly, so we're quite excited to be back here. The main reason you come here is to learn about the culture of all the Polynesian islands, and they all have their own little village represented inside this place. So you can see the map here when you enter. It's all a series of demo villages for each island in Polynesia: Hawaii, Tahiti, Tonga, and so on.
And from all of us to all of you, we say, aloha.
We're about to walk into a Samoan music show, it looks like.
And in Samoa, we have two types of chiefs, yeah? We have the high chief here and the talking chief here. Give it up. This is really heavy. You go on, that's it. You fall here, now you fall. This is America, somebody else. So here's that husk I was talking about. We made fire with. Oh, wow. Transfer the fire in the husk. Everybody say fire. In Samoa, afi. In Tonga, same thing, afi. In Hawaii, afi. In Malaysia, Indonesia, afi. In India, afi. India, Agni, India. Where are you? India, namaste. Agni, Agni. That's what it's not ugly, ugly. Samoan organic free cologne. It's called mango swear. It's like old spice. This is why I'm hot. Further on, here it is. Best spot right here.
We're hearing drumming in the distance. We're trying to find what's going on.
A handful of that.
Can you all say bussy? Bussy. Second motion, cup up both the hands like this, one on top of the other, and start clapping. Haka, 2 and 3 to the right. Haka, 2 and 3. Bus in a full.
Are you ready in Korean? Are you ready in Korea? Almost there, buddy. Follow me.
because we've already been to Samoa and we just came from Tonga, and we're gonna go to Tahiti.
We do speak French for our national language, and we also speak Tahitian for our native languages. But Marquesas, the Kamloops Islands, as well as the Motus, they have their own dialect that is still being spoken out to today. So the u'u is a staff that is given to the eldest son of the highest chiefly family. Because back in the days we didn't have any written records, the closest to our records were tattooing and carvings. So a chief can look at his staff and tell what tribe he's from, can also talk about his family genealogy and what he's supposed to do on this earth before he goes to the afterlife. With that grass skirt, this is what we call more. Can everyone say more? So it's not made out of grass, it actually comes from the center of the inner bark of the wild hibiscus tree. So we strip the inner barks of that tree, let it soak up in the ocean water for 2 to 3 months, let it dry for 2 to 3 weeks, and this is the final product of our dancing skirt. Okay, ladies, follow the instructor. Gentlemen, if you have a camera and you know what to do, let's have some fun.
What is this?
Coconut bread.
I like the coconut bread, yeah. Part of what is incredible in this place is that the landscaping is just out of this world. So it really makes you feel like you're in one of those villages in Polynesia. They've done a fantastic job recreating it. So here we found every European's favorite fruit, and that is of course breadfruit, because it tastes just like bread. The best way of eating it is grilled, right on the grill. You know, doesn't need anything else, and it tastes just fantastic, like you put bread on a clay oven or something like that. Welcome. It's raining outside, so we're hiding in a Hawaiian house. I don't know about you, but this looks super cozy to me. I would be happy with a bedroom like this. Oh, there's the rope. It looks so inviting.
Show you what it means to be one full hana, sharing aloha.
He pulled up the land and it broke into pieces. And that is how our islands arose.
One of the cool things about the Polynesian Culture Center is that they have a lot of interactive activities, so pretty much every culture represented here has at least 2 or 3 different activities you can come do. So,
I want to try to make a fire.
there's one free, yeah.
Oh, it smells like fire, but...
I'm just making this whole big...
you want to walk on the floor, go ahead. Don't stop. Walk.
Where I'm from, they do that actually.
Already?
Yeah.
Welcome to the kitchen. This is what we call no umukuka. Can everybody say umukuka? This is where the place that you will find the man. One way. So you can pick one too, man.
I have to wait a long time, but I got one. It's really good.
At the early buffet, there's a 4 o'clock buffet, and there's another buffet in about another hour and a half. But we're the first ones to eat, which is great because we're both starving.
Yeah, we didn't eat all day in anticipation of this.
The entire thing looks like it's buffet style, so it looks like you can just make your own salad and then choose from, I think, 4 different entrees and probably even take some of everything if you feel like it. I think the star of the show definitely is the Kalua pig. They actually came in and paraded the pig across the stage up to the kitchen at the very beginning when we first entered. But Kalua pig, if you're not familiar, it's pig that has been smoked and cooked underground.
Can we give a round of applause for our handsome models here? Perfect. They're going to unearth our Imu pig. Family, everyone repeat after me. Pua'a. Pua'a is the Hawaiian word for pig. Imu is also the Hawaiian word for underground oven. Back in our own type of onion, an underground oven. The instructions are simple. All you're going to do is dig a large pit. Go ahead and fill that pit halfway up with big rocks. Rocks that can handle heat. These rocks can be found on the side of a mountain. After, you will then put some firewood on top of your rocks. Let your fire burn for 2 hours, heating the rocks beneath it. You will then cover your pig or any other food you like to put in there. Cover your pig with banana leaves. You're going to leave your pig to help the food prevent it from scorching.
In fact, my uncle actually did that at my grandma's house when I was really young, and I remember coming home and seeing the pig just hanging in the garage before it went into the Imu. So that was a really intense experience. But yeah, it's something you should definitely come and do if you are ever in Hawaii.
Hawaiian royalty, or ali'i, can trace their genealogies back to deity and are revered and sacred rulers.
We present to you Hawaii's last ruling monarch and only sovereign queen, Her Majesty of the Royal House Kalakaua, Ligia Lili'u Loloku Bevehi Kamaka Eha, Queen Lili'u Kalani. Please be seated. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Shiba Fata Basi. Uba 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 Ba. That's what the Ba.
The main things that is really cool about this place is that you get a lot of artifacts from every culture, and they're put in these thatch houses that they live in, so it looks very convincing, like the real thing. This is a very long canoe.
Really nice detail work. It almost like looks Native American, really.
It almost looks Balinese as well.
Yeah. Ooh, a fan. Feels nice right about now.
Yeah.
This is our dancers taking 2 steps to the right and 2 steps back to the left, keeping everything straight and focused. Again, this step is called Kaholo. Uenai means to open. This symbolizes the rain that falls from the sky, leaving a splash and a ripple to the water.
Now, another thing is whoever made this place is a god-level landscaper. You know, seriously, the landscaping here is phenomenal, and I've been to places like the Royal Japanese Palace and other things like that, and here is among the best landscaping in the world that I've ever seen. What we see inside here is the catamaran, I think it's called, the 2-body ship. It's like 2 canoes, and they're bound together with a bunch of boards running across, so it's much more stable this way. This, I believe, is one of the huge vessels that they used to go around the whole Pacific way before compasses and many of the advances of science that later allowed Europeans to do it. These people did it way earlier than Europeans did. This is incredible. The oars are so big. Here's my hand. You need a lot of people to move these oars.
How do you think ancient Hawaiians navigated? Or anyone without, you know, modern technology navigating?
The story goes they did it by the stars, but how that works is quite difficult to imagine.
All those skills were lost because of westernization. But in 1976, Nainoa Thompson revived that spirit by taking the Hokulea on a sailing journey and navigated only using those ancient ways of navigating.
I've heard a story or an explanation which makes a lot of sense to me, is that we're talking about very small islands, and we're talking about very strict legal systems of taboos and so on. And I've heard that if you fall out with the ruling class, they did not so much execute people, but they put them on a ship and told them to sail. And this is how a lot of these islands were actually settled, because people that were banished, there was a strong law of banishment, and the banished people got on their ships and continued sailing and covered most of the Pacific that way. And some nets.
When you throw it, the goal is to make a circle, and there is a double layer of net here at the bottom. Drag it across the sand, and the fish swim outwards to get caught in the land net, and it has to swim back.
Earlier we saw interesting, entertaining act which was all on water vessels, so boats. And it was all theatrical and dance based, so what did you think of that?
Yeah, it was really cool. It's actually one of like the highlights for the midday show, because they actually have several shows in addition to the one at night. The one at night is obviously the biggest one, and the one that you actually can't take photos or video of, so it's nice that they allow you to shoot during the day, which is actually the better time to be shooting anyway. But yeah, it was a really great show. It's performed mostly on canoes, and every culture here is represented during that show.
Yeah, and they tell the story of how they made their Polynesian cultural center here in a sort of a dramatized way. It's pretty interesting take on it.
Stop is over at Laniakea Beach, and it is most famous for not only the big waves behind us, but also a lot of turtles tend to come here and they're washed up on the shore. So we came hoping to see that, except there were no turtles, but we didn't give up. We kept walking down the beach because we thought we'd take in the scenery anyway, and it was actually really lucky because we took a look over the surf and we saw a bunch of turtles swimming in the surf. So we filmed and took photos of that, and that's actually great because we've seen them like beached before, but we've never actually shot them swimming, so it was really great to get some different shots.
Yeah, it's difficult, but we got some, I think, swimming and breathing, and we got stills and videos, so.
Exactly, yeah. So even if you come somewhere and you don't see exactly what you want to see, don't give up. Keep walking around, you might find something better.
If you look closely, there are turtles, but it does require a zoom, not a wide angle. There's one right there. Yeah, it just took a breath. There, it's almost out, yeah.
They're just teasing us at this point.
Yeah, they don't want to come out, I'm guessing.
Probably not.
If they wanted to, they would have by now.
It's probably a lot cooler.
Oh, it just almost come out.
Resort on the North Shore, and it is definitely a hotel area for tourists, but even if you're not staying here, there is public beach access because a lot of beaches, or actually all the beaches in Hawaii do have to have a public access point.
One of the best things about Hawaii is that actually there is a law that forces anyone that owns property near the beach to leave access for the beach, that anyone should be able to use to get there. Every beach is public here in the state.
Right, so there is a public parking lot. It can fill up really quickly, but we did manage to find a spot, and there's a really nice protected area where you can swim even if you're not a guest here at the hotel. And also you can just wander the grounds near the registration area, near the pool. You may not be able to swim in the pool, but you can at least get some really nice shots of the resorts and the beach around it.
And there's something like 7 restaurants and cafes if you need a refreshment or a food, so it's a great place to stop by. And North Shore is mostly rugged, so there's actually nowhere to chill, especially with air conditioning and good ground. So if you actually wanted to chill and feel comfortable instead of sandy and hot, you can come here. And the beach goes all the way out, and most of North Shore is covered in beaches. And on the other side it starts going towards the west side of the island. So we have something interesting here. The locals call a hupua, but it reminds me a lot of what we saw in Bali and seems to be common in these Pacific islands, where there has to be a system to divide up the water source and the land so that anyone can get irrigation. And here you can see how it's all made to irrigate all the lots where agriculture was traditionally done, things like taro and whatnot. Something to point out here is that on these islands there is no such thing as glacier or anything, so all the water which is coming for drinking or anything is coming from the rain, so you have to immediately make use of it basically. But the good news is that these islands are tall and rain clouds bump into the mountains and rain comes down almost every day, so you have this constant rejuvenation of the island through that. It's much better than a more flat island that gets no water at all and is barren. What we see here is that the beach is not suitable for agriculture, and neither is the mountaintop area, so right around the middle actually is where you get your agriculture done. And apparently the ocean side is called Makai in the native language, where the fishing gets done.
So here's a little tip. When you're living, if you're a local in Hawaii, you never use north, south, east, west. If you do, nobody here has any idea what that means. It's always Mauka or Makai. So it's directions in relation to where the mountains and the ocean are. And here we have some of the native birds and mammals that you'll find around the nature of the islands. And so this is really interesting for us because we really got into birding this year. So that looks like an albatross, and they also have a stilt and a fuscata. And of course sea turtles and humpback whales.
Well, we're cruising through this resort in Hawaii, and what we find is a million GoPro accessories right here.
Oh, they're already advertising.
Oh yeah, and the Hero 8 is on front display here. Nice. It mounts without a box.
Alright, so when you're in Hawaii, there's a few really distinct trees that you're going to find. Beyond coconut trees and palms and banyan trees, there's also this tree called the hala tree. And the leaves are actually called lauhala, lau meaning leaves, so the leaves of the hala tree. And when these leaves dry out, they're actually used for like basket weaving or arts and crafts. And if you grew up here in Hawaii and you went to a public school in particular, an elementary school, they make you go through Hawaiian history and culture class. And so I do remember having to weave lauhala baskets, little crafts and toys and trinkets that we did in class. So yeah, this is a really distinct tree. You'll probably see it all around the islands, and this is a really pretty looking one here at Turtle Bay Resort.
So here we go, right in the middle of this great resort, there's a public beach, because every beach in Hawaii has to be public by law. So nobody can stop you from coming here.
But with that said, it doesn't mean you can just barge onto private property either. You do have to come onto, you know, the areas that are declared public access. So you do have to be careful about that. Like, don't just walk past someone's house because it's public access. You do have to, you know, be a little mindful and respectful of that.
Right. Yeah, people can own property around the beach that can be in your way, but the beach itself has to be public.
Yeah, so a lot of the resorts like this one in Olina, like I would imagine this is at least partially man-made, or maybe it's natural, I'm not actually sure about here. But I know Olina is almost exclusively man-made, and they do that just to give you like a protective area where you can swim pretty safely and not be dragged out into the tide and the current. Because the North Shore in particular is known for the really big surf waves. They're kind of big right now, they're not super huge, but wintertime is where they get really, really big, and you don't want to go anywhere near those waves unless you're here in a protected cove. You see kids like swimming here, like really young kids, and there's no problem, like the waves aren't really rough. But the cool part about this particular beach is that if you want some rough waves and you want to go boogie boarding or surfing, then just go a little further down the beach and you've got like just the full action all to yourself.
Yeah, so this beach continues for a very long time actually. Before here or after here, most of the North Shore is beach, and here the waves are big. So if you want to play, you can right there. And it's still a bay formation here, so it's still not the worst, but it's much more wavy than behind us.
Alright, so we're here at the North Shore at one of the most famous places for shrimp, which is Giovanni's. And Giovanni's is one of the original shrimp trucks here in the North Shore, and they have only 4 options on the menu. There's scampi, hot and spicy, and lemon butter, or a garlic dog. But the scampi is probably the most popular, and for good reason, because it's just delicious. It's full of garlic, really good, and always going to be a line here if you come, but definitely come and give it a shot.
It looks fantastic.
Oh yeah, and it's really hot. Oh, I briefly considered getting the hot and spicy this time, but they really warn you that it's really spicy, and what really turned me off was when it said no refunds. I was like, they gotta be not joking about that.
Pulling the train exact, and when you relax, I'll have those 6 7 ready. The engineer will be collecting those when you come in to board the train. Now the first step in the boarding process is that quick boarding photo. Now if you can take the boarding photo to the front of the train, now we'll be seeing.
My Asian wife has tricked me into another very touristy activity.
I really like pineapples. It's like the only fruit I'll actually eat. So this is my favorite place ever because it's a pineapple themed park of sorts. So yes, we're gonna ride the train and learn more about pineapples.
And get an up-close view of a variety of plants, flowers, and native species while listening to stories about life on the plantation and Hawaiian heritage. To prepare the field for planting, the ground is plowed and mixed with fertilizer, resulting in a fine, nutrient-rich soil.
I think I need this as my new pillow.
This is really good design here.
Yeah, I actually kind of want a shirt.
These are actually clothes you can wear. They're not terribly cheesy.
So that's actually a good point. So there's so much merch in here. It's like Hawaii themed, pineapple themed, and it's not just like cheesy kind of touristy designs. Some of these are actually really cool designs. Like I would
this one is
wear
pretty
them.
cheesy.
No, that's cute. It's not cheesy. It's cute.
You can dress like a total pineapple.
I kind of want to.
It's so silly.
What if they smell like pineapple? No. Okay, we are here at the greatest place on earth, the Dole Pineapple Plantation. I only say that because I love pineapple a lot, so I'm really happy that everything here is pineapple themed.
Yes, it's the pineapple extravaganza, and turns out to be the place that made pineapple popular around the world.
Yeah, so this is the original Dole Plantation. So pineapple used to be one of the main crops in Hawaii, but it's not actually anymore. They do still grow pineapples here, but a lot of our pineapples today are coming from South and Central America. But some of the pineapples are grown here, and you can buy them here, eat them here, and they are really delicious.
But they said one thing that explains why people who are from the tropics always complain when they have pineapple somewhere else, because they said that once you pick a pineapple, it never gets any sweeter or more ripe, it only gets less fresh. Therefore, you should be eating it immediately after picking it. Therefore, when you have it in the north, it's never as good as here.
That is very true. Another thing is that there are actually a lot of varieties of pineapple out there, but the one that is grown here in particular, and the one that people like the most because it is smooth and really sweet, is called the sweet cayenne, otherwise known as the Dole 31. So that is the pineapple that is commonly found in supermarkets, and in my opinion, the best one ever.
That is interesting too, because yeah, the shape of it too is the nice one. When you see some other varieties, they're totally different shapes, longer and skinnier and so on. But the one everybody thinks of when they think of pineapple is the one from right here.
So when you come to visit, there is a big shopping area. You can buy lots of pineapple themed food or t-shirts or souvenirs, things to furnish your house with, which we might end up doing. And there's also the world's largest maze, which is actually a pineapple maze.
I've done that.
Yep, I have too actually, but not recently. But yeah, it's recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's largest maze. And there's also a garden that you can walk through and a train. We just did the train ride. That was really fun through the pineapple fields. And yeah, really great place to visit. And of course, pick up some Dole Whip ice cream as well while you're here.
Fantastic Olina area Disney Resort.
The Disney Resort is just one resort here. There's also the Four Seasons Resort and lots of timeshares. But this area as a whole, named Olina, is on the west side of Oahu. It's a little less touristy in that it's, maybe 40 minutes away from Waikiki, but there are still people that stay here, and also some locals come here as well. Parking is very sparse, but if you manage to get a spot or have someone drop you off, then you can come and visit the lagoons here.
Yeah, it's really calm and peaceful, and children love it because it's made for them in a way. It's all the lagoons are preserved. But here there's a little more of a rugged path which we're about to take, and later we'll walk through the main resort area.
All right.
These are corals. Many corals are here. I always do wonder where they get them from in these quantities, and then they dump them on the beach, and once they disintegrate they become white sand, which is how you get the best sand in the world, crushed coral. You can see the process in real life, some parts of Hawaii, but yeah, these are all corals. They resemble rocks, but they are definitely a life form because you can see their formation of kind of organs and tissues. They're not actually rocks. They don't look like real rocks. Some of them look like brain. Right now it's very low tide, as you can see. Little pools remain from when it was higher. So this area gets submerged, and there's fish here actually. You can see fish swim in these little pools. They got caught during high tide and now it's low tide. Yes. One of the coolest things about Hawaii's shores is that the shapes are made of this broken down lava rock, so you see crazy shapes. Yeah, big fishes here. That one can't quite run fast, but it's in there, but it did hide in the... I mean, I can probably get it out of there. This pool is very clear, this one in particular.
Well, it's closest to the waves, so the waves are coming and filling it with more water.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are called tide pools. And they're always really fun to come up and get close to them because you just never know what's inside of them. Usually little crabs and fish. That was actually quite a big fish to be in a tide pool. The thing about being in Hawaii is that you have so many military bases here that you just kind of get used to seeing big military airplanes in addition to commercial airplanes and helicopters and all kinds of activity up in the sky. We've seen so many military helicopters, and this was actually, I think, a commercial helicopter, but it landed like just right next to us, which is really cool to see. So as the day progresses, a lot of these tide pools get hit by the sun and they start to dry up. And you know, that's not very good news for the fish or some of these smaller creatures, so hopefully they're able to move on, or I don't know if they're probably able to sense it, but you know, you can see some of these, like right here, there's a sea snail that's all dried out, a couple of them actually. Over here is the mother lode. The mother lode. Yeah, so you've got a mix of like rocks, you've got shells. It's pretty cool. And lots more rocks back here.
Alright, let's do this. We need to trek through the rock now to get back. It's not the hardest, but you have no option for errors. No room for error when you're doing this. That's the scary part. We're roasting in the midday sun right now, so we need to take some cover before we overheat. And just like that, 4 minutes later, we're in the civilized part. So that's cool about this area. You actually have a very comfortable area next to rugged wilderness. And if you look out in the far distance, that's actually a natural preserve and there's no development there. So a huge part of the island is preserved over there. And we made a video way early in our video career of the albatross on the tip of the island out there.
There's a nice long hike out there, and you can actually access it from the west side here, or you can access it from the north shore. And it's not, you know, a super hard path. It's actually fairly paved and it's really flat and level, but it is in this really harsh sunlight all day. But it does lead you to an albatross preserve where during various times of the year you'll see the albatross in, you know, various stages of reproducing.
So here you can see what's happening. Very happy sunbathers and swimmers. The whole thing, and I think this is one of 4 lagoons. And you can see how the rock crushes all the waves, and this is a very mellow pool here. It's really almost like a swimming pool, but on a Hawaiian shore. Oahu is actually one of the traditional destinations to get married for Japanese people.
Yeah, I've been here, like, every time I come here with you, there's like someone getting married, someone doing the same poses. Like, we just have it down about which poses to do.
Yeah, but since you're from here, we chose to get married in Italy.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, we just want to do something a little different.
Make it special.
Yeah, make it special. That was somewhere that, you know, our families hadn't been together, so that was a nice experience for everybody.
This is lagoon number 2, which is even bigger.
No, number 3. We're going backwards.
Oh yes, so from the opposite end. Lagoon number 3, which is even bigger, and it has a lot of chairs from this resort. But you can also just pull up your towel or your own umbrella, and you can enjoy as well. And every beach in Hawaii has to have public access, so they cannot kick you out of here.
So what they do is restrict the parking.
Yeah. So
there's no buses that run through either, so you just have to get creative about how you get here.
So what we did is get a ride from Suzi's mom, and
yeah, that works too.
She will call her to get us, so we beat the system finally. It's just so comfortable and spectacular.
It's a great place to chill. Like if you had a room here, you'd be like, oh, let me go to the beach for like a little bit, then you go back to your room and chill, then come back out. You just do that all day long.
And what ends up happening is you drink a lot and read novels and start writing some drunken thing like the Rum Diaries.
Or in our case, you just start, you know, making videos and live streaming stuff.
Right. Oh, look, there's the map of the island. So we are here on the southwest side of Oahu. This is the main area here where most people live and most people visit. We're staying around this area.
So look at what they're already calling it. They're calling my town. So I always grew up on this side, and I remember actually when they brought in like the first McDonald's before it was even commercialized, but it was already projected to be the future second city, and it's definitely coming along that way. So Waikiki and Honolulu being right here, we're all the way out here.
That means the Barber Point is going to get developed hardcore.
I would hope so. It's all federal land, you know, so that might be the last. But you can already see here, like they have giant shopping malls. You used to have to go all the way into town, or at least to Pearl City to get to shopping malls. But now you have one just down the road, which is great. We are over on the west side of Oahu, really close to Olina, but that is a really hard place to find parking. So if you ever are there and really frustrated, can't find parking, just go a little bit further over to Kahe Point. And this is where not a lot of tourists go. It's more locals. You find people fishing, scuba diving, surfing, hanging out at the beach, but you can almost always find parking here. And there's a really great sunset view. So we're here with our cameras to try to capture sunset. And yeah, these hills are generally really brown and really dry, but we've had a lot of rain here apparently because they're really green and they look so much prettier in their green like this. Everything is green, including Diamond Head and Punchbowl and just a lot of places where normally if you come during dry season, they'd be like really brown, but it's kind of like when we went to Eastern Washington and Winthrop and the Gorge earlier this spring, everything was green, so that really changes the landscape. Alright, so coming to this beach is also a little adventure because you get to walk on this abandoned train railway and see this big electric plant that's here. It's been here for a long, long time.
So it gets its power from oil, mostly. Nowadays, some solar, but...
Yeah, there's a lot of solar as well, but yeah, this has been running for as long as I can remember. Long time. So again, if you're not familiar with Hawaiian flowers, this is a plumeria tree, and this is one of the flowers that they use to make leis, or you can just pick one off and put it behind your ear like this. But look,
yeah, you got to know. Let's chase the mongoose.
Wait, let me see if I can shoot them. They're fast.
Yeah.
They're like little weasels.
They are little weasels.
Story. So mongoose were brought here to control the rat problem, but then these guys ended up just proliferating, and now they're just like little rodents.
Now they're leaving. They see you and they run.
Yeah. I got a few shots.
Good.
See.
Oh yeah, you got them.
Look at it. It's kind of cute.
It's pretty crisp shot.
Yeah.
Nice. Now you have a big camera.
Zoom range on this is so nice.
Yeah, the 135 on a crop.
18 to 135 on a crop, and sure, it's a variable f-stop, but you know, we're shooting out in the daytime, so it's totally fine.
Yeah, if you want an all-purpose range for the crop camera, the 18 to 135 is pretty classic. Canon has it, Nikon has it, Fuji has it.
Yeah, and it's not that big considering, like it's 18 135, but when you extend it, it gets a little bit longer, but that's not terrible. Yeah. And you know, again, maybe not the most clandestine street photography camera, especially with this body, but you know, again, just feels really good in your hands, and you have a really decent range with it.
It is a little chunky.
It's pretty chunky, yeah. Especially compared to my X-T3.
Yeah, that one is pretty stylish. Yeah. You're gonna get covered in sand. I'm wearing my Keens. Because of all this lava rock, I believe this is the right choice for a shoe. Last time I came to Hawaii, or not the last, but one of the last few, I was on the beach and a wave dragged all the sand in, and then it was about to hit me, so I turned around, and because of the wave, the big lava rock was revealed and I ran right into it and I cut my foot really bad, so now I wear Keens, the better shoe. Should probably fly the drone right about now.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have good sensor, so you actually need to fly it when you have some lights.
Yeah, you want to do it before the sun goes away.
So hand off this, you can shoot or pulse, but...
so we just took the drone for a sunset flight. It is a gorgeous time of day. It's going to be an excellent sunset. And it's not at all crowded here. In fact, most people here are local. I don't know, there's maybe a couple of Japanese tourists here, but that is it. Other than that, we have the entire beach to ourselves, which is really awesome. So this is a little local secret if you're over on the west side of Oahu. Alright, so on this trip I brought my Fujifilm X-T3, of course, along with the 1855 and the 50-140, but because I have the Canon 90D with the kit lens, I am also using that today to test a lot of photo and videos. And Martin, meantime, is rocking the XH1 along with the, let's zoom that again.
55-200.
55-200.
You may not find it too intuitive, but for landscape and for travel, a zoom lens is essential.
Yep.
And this one is the most portable one from this Fuji lineup. So I roll with this one always when I travel. But we do have the nice red badge as well, but it's in the bag, right?
Yeah, we had the 50-140, and that's, an f2.8. It's a lot bigger, a lot heavier. It's a beautiful lens, produces really great photos and videos. But the thing is, because it's a little bit bigger, and you don't always need f2.8, especially when you have enough ample sunlight. And since we're here in Hawaii and there's no shortage of sunlight, then even a variable aperture telephoto lens serves us just fine. And same with this one, this is the Canon 18-135, the variable aperture once again, maybe not as much reach as the 200, but still, really great overall lens for when you're outdoors and you have enough natural lighting.
But I'm shooting Velvia, which I always do for sunset, and it looks just like art.
So why do you like Velvia for sunset?
Because it exaggerates the colors just right. It's got actual scientists working on this color profile, and the same people made film for decades. So it actually is perfect. Sunset is good to be exaggerated, and landscape overall is good to be exaggerated. So when I shoot even video with landscape, I don't mind shooting Velvia. When you have normal subjects and city environment and things like that, it's not good.
I would say people especially, it exaggerates the colors too much and it's not very flattering. So with people, we really like to use either Provia or Astia, but usually Astia, because everything is nice and soft. These are really great skin tones. And over on the Canon, I am reviewing some of the images on the camera, and I'm remembering why I love Canon so much compared to Sony just straight out of the camera. The colors are they're really natural. And they may be slightly enhanced, but not too enhanced. Canon colors look really great straight out of the camera. Sony colors really do not. They're growing on me, but something about Canon color, I love it. Love it. I really wish it was a mirrorless camera.